Okay, well, welcome to the Epic Conference. This is the business track, and we have two special people with us here today. This is Rose Keifer. Do you know Keifer Sutherland?
I
Because
do not.
if you guys ever got married, it'd be Rose Keifer Sutherland. Just saying. And Billy Rice of the Rice family Reptiles, which is, I have to say, Billy, there's not many reptile companies that put family in the name.
Yes.
And
So Mark, on that, so it's not in the name. It is on Instagram, but in the
okay,
name, it is just Rice Reptiles. But on Instagram, it's Rice Family Reptiles, which it
okay.
is our family. So it's totally cool.
Yeah, I noticed that. I see a lot of your posts in that, and I think it's wonderful to always involve the entire family if they're interested, and you can foster that interest and whatever. I tried that with my kids. It lasted about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I adopted their ball pythons, and the rest is history. But anyway, so you two are entering into a business deal. Is it a merger? Is it what exactly is it, Rose?
So we met at the St. Louis show last fall. Troy Schroeder is like a mutual friend, and he always does an amazing job of like putting like huge groups of people together for dinners. And we ended up sitting at the same table as Billy and Don, and we'd never met them before, and we instantly like hit it off and we're chatting the whole night. And Billy had talked about always wanting to own an enclosure company. And I was like, hey, I know all about that, and I can totally make something like that happen. And we, chatted the whole rest of the night. And then a few months went by, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he was like serious or it was just, chatting at dinner. So I messaged them, and they were like, yeah, we're serious. So we loaded up and went down and met with them. We traveled from Minnesota to Georgia to meet with them and, kind of get to know them a little bit more. And then we decided that that's what we wanted to do, both of us. And yeah, the rest is history. So yeah, we just created a new company, ClearVUE.
So this was in St. Louis, and it was just happenstance that you guys sat next to each other or something like that at this big group table. I mean, you always see these photographs. Every Reptile Expo, there's these photographs of, 20, 30 people on a long table. I mean, it really is a community that way, and you get to meet some extraordinary people doing that. So when you sat down, did you know Billy?
I knew who they were because, Troy introduced us. But that was the first time I think I'd ever spoke with him or Don.
Okay. And Billy, were you familiar with Rose?
No, I just knew of them, just a little bit. Same. I just knew of them. I didn't know them yet, and it was a nice dinner. So it wasn't like one of ours where we do have like 30 people at a table. So there was just 6 of us. So we were able to carry on a good conversation.
Nice. So, now Billy, you are an entrepreneur as well. So where did you get your start? Where did that entrepreneurial spirit come from?
It come from both my mother and my father, and very young on. So my dad always had like a farm, animals, things like that, and always taught me through those animals and things like that, responsibility and care of the animals, and then also how to make money doing anything that I did. He always did extra things and owned his business for the betterment of our family. And so fast forward like till I'm 8 years old. I mean, I've already been doing this, and I go into lawn care business myself and get to make money on my own. And I was so dedicated to doing that on my own. My mom would even say, like, Billy, you do not have to work like that. Like you can do, I'll give you the money to go do what you want to do, And I'm like, I like making my own money and making my own decisions. And I like, I like being creative ways to do things to make money. And it's the process more than it is about money. It's always the process of creating something that creates money.
So is money your driver, or is it the creative, getting the creative juices flowing that drives you?
It's the process of the whole business flow from
Right.
scratch to finished product. That's what drives me. I like to be the best at the things that we do, and then
Uh-huh.
I also am I'm very competitive in that aspect of it. But then I love to make money, but money doesn't drive me. It's the process of from the start and finish of the business, and then the maintenance of the business as it moves forward. That's something that just is always, I've been very passionate and enthusiastic about that part of it.
So let me, before I get back to you, Rose, I'm interested. Billy, you mentioned that your parents were farmers. Were they ranchers? They had animals. What kind of animals?
So we had my dad was very successful in the timber industry, and
Okay.
he did it from he built his business from scratch, and he actually retired from it, and I started mine up new, with him just coming back and helping me. But he we owned the farm basically just probably as a tax write-off, honestly. But we had tons of cows, but that's the way my dad would. So we had cows, we had horses, we had all that stuff, but we weren't actually ranchers. We just had like 100 acres
Okay.
a farm, like 70 heads of cows, and I just learned to work that and learned to make money selling hay or just things like that. Things my dad wanted me to do to learn chickens, quail, just all kind of stuff.
Well, that's interesting. So you've always been involved somehow in breeding of animals and selling
Yes.
of animals.
Yes. My wife
Yeah.
tells me all the time I literally would breed anything just because I love to have babies. I love seeing the birth of anything.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% there. I don't know what it is because I was not raised on a farm. I mean, I was born in Australia, came over here as a 5-year-old, and but I had this thing for animals, and I remember buying mice at the pet stores and breeding mice because I like seeing the mice being born, and fish and you name it. But I think that's interesting that you are rooted in the animal industry. Now, what about you, Rose? Tell me a bit of your backstory.
So I've been an entrepreneur since 2006. I bought my first business. It was like a gym in my local town when I was a senior in high school. And then I turned it from like just a gym, turned it into a tanning salon and gym and everything like that. And had to like learn how to like market and grow a business as a high school senior. And then I made my first website back in 2006. I always joke like the infancy of the internet. It felt like, now looking back so long ago. And I grew that, and then I sold that kind of at like the peak of the '08 crash, and then invested in real estate. And then from there, I just did, I went back to school to get a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurial marketing and management. And then while I did that, I was working just like freelance marketing consultant, wedding photography, because I really loved photography. And that's kind of like my favorite part of the animals is I don't like go crazy with the genetics, but I like love taking pictures of them and stuff. So that's like my job as the photographer. And then I worked as like an international air export coordinator for quite a few years doing that, which turned out helping a ton in this industry that I do tons of shipping. So now I know how to do all that really well. And then the international contacts. But, and then when I was like 26, 27, I was diagnosed with breast cancer while I like was in school and working full time and everything, and had 2 like young kids. And the doctor was like, you can like do everything that we tell you to do, and you have to take like a year off of your life. You can't work for a year. You can't do anything. And just like, you're going to be crazy sick. But then you'll probably be fine after that. And I was like, this does like, who can just take a year off of like their life to like run back and forth to the doctor? Like that doesn't make sense to me. So I did not follow the doctor's orders. I did like a hybrid of like alternative medicine with a little bit of like surgical procedures. And now 10 years later, I'm still cancer free. But during that whole journey, we like kind of like reflected on life and was like, what are we doing? Like, juggling all this stuff and this job and like, working for the man just was not what was like in my blood, because I grew up, my parents both own their own business. So for me, packing up and just like going to Florida for 6 months out of the year was like no big deal. Like that was just normal. You just loaded up in the car and you went, because we could do that. So, having to follow a schedule was just didn't function for me. So during that whole cancer journey, we started our own business in manufacturing, which is where, I gained all the expertise to partner with Billy. But yeah, so I've kind of been all over the place and done a lot. And I love it.
Now, what were you manufacturing?
We were in the reptile industry. So we did like plastic fabrication in the reptile space.
Okay. All right. And this was how long ago?
We started it, I think 9 years ago.
And so you started 9 years ago. Is this the same business or is this a different business?
No, we sold that business, I think 3 years ago to kind of pursue, because it got down to, again, of like just the mundane, we got past the fun creative part of the business. And it was just, manufacturing at the end of the day. And so we both kind of decided we wanted to go our separate ways with that. So we sold that business, and I kind of dived into Tide and Timbers, where I can like help other businesses, do the stuff that I love, the websites, the marketing, kind of all that stuff to help other businesses grow. And that way it was something different all the time. And then my husband, he dove into ball pythons.
Oh, I see. Now, do you breed as well?
We have a bunch of them. Yeah. Like 300-400 of them.
Ball pythons.
Yep.
You're very brave.
I was terrified of them. Like, no joke. Terrified of snakes.
It's not a matter of being terrified. That's a lot of work.
Right. You're right.
I know one of my rooms, I think, has, I don't know, 540 in there in one room. And then I've got my hatchling room. So I got a hatchling room, which is, I think that can fit 600 or so. So I know I can relate as to the work. Now, Billy, what size is your collection?
Oh, wow. Right now we're sitting at about 700 and something.
Now,
babies and everything.
Do you believe that bigger is better?
No, I'm bigger only through diversity of projects.
Right.
That's what I believe
sometimes
in.
it's necessary to hit those magic, snakes. So let's fast forward. St. Louis, you guys are sitting at a table, 6 people. You get introduced to each other. And who chimed up first? Who said, hey, what I'd like to do is start an enclosure company?
I think that was Dawn. So my wife was the first one to say, Billy, here's your person. And I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? So then I get clued in onto the conversation. And yeah, so it just went from there. So it literally, my wife said, this might be the person you want to deal with right here. So, and we just talked about it, and then didn't know what would happen. And Rose reaches back out, and here we go.
Well, I love when things happen that way. They happen organically, right? Yeah. And that's nice. So, Rose, you were living in Minnesota.
Correct.
Where they have snow.
Yes, lots of it.
Lots of snow. And you wanted to move down to Georgia, where they have lots of
sunshine,
hot weather. It's funny because my friend Will Morose is moving down to Georgia from Canada. And coincidentally, we have a lot of snow too sometimes. And I kept on looking at the weather in Georgia, and it was like, we do Celsius, and it was like 36 Celsius for a week solid. And I mean, when it's 36 Celsius in Canada, we don't do anything. I mean, we live in air conditioning. We're not used to that kind of heat, but I guess you get used to the heat down there, Billy. Are you born and raised in Georgia?
I think Rose, I mean, Rosewood, you get used to the heat here or you die. So, like, the impressive
Yeah.
thing was watching Rose transition and their family transition to this heat, and they've handled it very well.
Well, that's good. That's very
Yeah,
good.
it was a lot easier than I thought. And the best thing is like we live in a really small town and everyone like they could tell like we're not from here, right? And they're like, "Where did you move from?" And we're like, "Minnesota." And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna die here this summer." Like it's so everyone kept telling us we were gonna die. And we have an outdoor gym. My husband does powerlifting. And so like we had to work out like all summer, like at 110 degrees. We're like out in the garage in the gym lifting weights. So I think that probably like helped the transition that like I didn't have a choice. I had to be out there lifting heavy things in the heat. But I absolutely love it. It still was 100 degrees today and I'm still like in shorts. I'm planning on like being in the pool on Christmas. Like even if it's too cold, I'm still going to like be in there just for like a photo of like I'm swimming on Christmas. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, we swim up here on Christmas too, but we have to cut a hole in the ice and,
right.
kind of jump in.
No, I can't do that.
Polar plunges.
Yep. Those are very cool.
So anyways, so you guys decided you wanted to start this business. Billy, why an enclosure company?
So with me, it was just always, I've always had a love for aquariums and creating habitats, and it goes all the way back to childhood. So I have a isopod collection based off childhood experiences in the sandbox. So just things that remind me of my childhood and of life and just living are things that I like to do. And creating habitats is just something I've always done that and redone our fish tanks. You see the fish tank behind me here. So we literally have we've kept fish our entire life. So like recreating habitats is something that I've always loved doing. It's just kind of a passion thing of mine. So when I started doing reptiles, I knew like I've already needed enclosures anyway for other species that we keep as pets and other investment animals that we have like green trees and carpets and other several other animals. And so I just decided, I've put off buying forever because I knew I was going to do this one day as started enclosure company.
So is everything manufactured in the States and sourced in the United States?
100%.
So the building material, using PVC or
PVC and acrylic.
Yes.
And acrylic. So and what's the thickness of the PVC that you're using?
We use 1/2-inch PVC.
1/2 inch. Is that standard, or are there enclosures made out there that are a lot thinner?
I've seen thinner ones at shows. Yeah, especially recently. I like walked by and I did a double take and I'm like, that is not 1/2 inch. So yeah, there's some that are, I think they use like 3/8.
So, I mean, in an industry that's pretty well, I mean, there's already a bunch of enclosure companies out there. And I mean, back in the day, I never made an enclosure, but I made racks and I used melamine. And a lot of people, because there weren't enclosure companies, made melamine enclosures or out of plywood and so on. So in a market where there's already enclosures out there, what did you say to yourselves? What did you agree upon in saying, if we're going to do this, how are we going to stand out from the rest?
Yeah, I think the design, we had to, because I see tons of people come out there and their design, like they're all just like copying each other, and every design like is exactly the same or it's like very similar. So we wanted to take a completely different like 360. So it's like no one else has this on the market, to kind of help set ourselves apart between, our high quality, our knowledge and experience in the reptile keeping, and then a first of its kind design.
So tell us how your design is different.
Ours are completely clear on the front. So they're like the matte finish black, like PVC shell, which, is safe, helps the animal feel safe and secure. But then it gives the owner full visibility so they can see, the substrate, they can see the little isopods down there, the plant root structure growing, and then like a full unobstructed view of their animal.
So when you supply an enclosure, if somebody buys one of your enclosures, are they buying it pre-built, or how do they take delivery?
No, they come flat packed. and they ship,
Okay.
and they're, the holes are like, pre-drilled and everything's like fit and ready. So they just put it together and we provide instructions and the screws, and they just need a Phillips screwdriver in like 15 minutes to put it together. So super easy.
Now, what about, because Billy, you were talking about the aquariums and how you like the let's just say aquascaping, for lack of a better term. And I really, I kind of got into it a little while ago. And I'm fascinated by the aquascaping because it's so relaxing. I mean, when you stare into something like that, you kind of lose yourself. And I guess a few years ago, I had the dart frogs, poison dart frogs, and I built it with the plants and everything. I mean, you can literally just stare into it and forget what's, everything that's going on in the world. Do you supply anything, builds, custom builds for the inside of the enclosures? Do you help in any way there, or provide a product?
We can provide perches and then shelves and food bowls and things like that,
Mhm.
that we manufacture ourselves. But then we also later on may incorporate some more like 3D printing and things like that as we move along. But we're still in the early stages of the business, and so we're still narrowing down like different products that we want to use and different things we want to manufacture ourselves. So the cool thing about, like you say, in aquascaping, that's what's the very cool thing about the ClearVUE Habitat is you literally see everything with the enclosure instead of like us sitting here doing this interview. We're looking at almost a picture frame view of each other because we're in these square boxes. They're in the boxes, but on all other enclosures, they have the rounded edge that's PVC blocking the view. With ours, if
Okay.
your reptiles are coming right up to the very front, you see everything they're doing. It's entirely, the whole inside is a clear view. Even the hinges are clear and the locks are clear.
Okay, so the industry has been primarily, we saw different rack suppliers, build different racking systems. I mean, they're building them in Europe. But you can buy them on Temu now for, like different reptile racks or whatever. And but I've seen a constant evolution towards your type of caging. And do you feel that the reptile industry is moving more towards a collector industry as opposed to a breeding industry? Because in the past, it was all about breeding and we were selling to other breeders. Now, we seem to be selling a lot of animals to pet people who want not a racking system, but they want something that they can display their animals in. Do you see that evolution happening?
Yeah, I absolutely see it every day. Like we have a lot of customers that just collect and just want to own collections. They want the feel and the thrill of breeding and having their first clutches and things like that, but they don't necessarily want to do it for a business. They want to do it as a hobby. And when you're a
Okay.
hobbyist, you're at a whole different mindset. Everything's not about profit margins or just
Right.
building a really nice collection of animals and building value that way. You're more looking at I want to do fun things and nice things with my animals. So it branches off into a lot of that stuff. So yeah, we see both. So we still with our ball python business really have a mixture of everything, and because we're from very high end to low end normal. So we still have everything available.
Mhm.
So we see a really broad stroke of that. And I think yeah, in this time and in this climate, you get way more of the collector pet type people. And then I think it'll switch and you'll have that go around again where a few years from now where then it's going back to investment type stuff.
Yeah, because I was talking to my wife tonight. There was a show up here a few weeks ago, the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo, but it was also incorporated in a show that had dogs and cats and fish and parrots and you name it, and massive show. But in, talking to some of the ball python people, most of the people that came to the show were curious about ball pythons, and the investor seems to have gone elsewhere, online per se, Morph Market or whatever. But a lot of pet people coming into the show. Now, I didn't do the show this year because I had some minor surgery that stopped me from doing it, and but I noticed, people will spend, $1,000, $1,500, sometimes $2,000 for a beautiful pet. And if they do that, what you're doing just falls in line with what they require. So do you ever have people contact you and say, look, I want a whole wall of this, and can you put that together? And they just give you the dimensions of the wall, and you go, okay, this is what we can do for you.
Absolutely.
You provide that service?
Yes, definitely.
And what species do you think, if you had to guess what species was kept in your enclosures more than any other species, what would it be?
I would guess probably bearded dragons and ball pythons.
Really? Mm-hmm. Because what about green trees? And
green trees are a huge market for enclosures right now. It's just a huge market.
Yeah. Do you see that whole part of the industry growing as far as the green trees? I notice a lot of ball python people are migrating, towards the green trees and stuff like that. Do you see that ever expanding?
Yes, I mean, most people. I think the thing with green trees to start with was the fear of green trees, and just through social media and stuff, people have lost that fear and realized that it's not anything to be that scared of. And two, with the educational of how to care for them and things like that, just through all the social media platforms, it's really made it to where that animal is way more attractive to people. Where a lot of people had a lot of fear toward those animals just because of their reach and things like that. They've really been promoted in a more positive light, and and because of their beauty and the display side of that animal. I mean, it's a perfect display animal. It sits there and just poses for you all day long. So it's perfect for these types of habitats.
Yeah, that's interesting. So when it comes to things like lighting and heat, what do you do there?
So we do radiant heat panels as well as Arcadia lighting and belly heat. We can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you got one specifically designed for the ball python industry?
Well, it's our 4x2x2, right, Rose?
Mm-hmm. And we have like a nice little mini one that's like a perfect starter for like a hatchling. So like if someone was at a show and bought a ball python, it's the perfect size, and that's like an 18 by 12 by 12.
So is this all is it plug and play?
Yes, that one includes like the starter one includes like a little LED light, and then it has belly heat with it.
And what kind of thermostat comes with it?
We're just in the process of kind of reconfiguring for one that it's built into the belly heat. Okay. So it's all in one. You just need like a timer for your light, and then you're good to go.
I see. Have you ever? Okay, I'm going to throw something out here. I had a vision for a ball python because the thing is, it would be nice to have an enclosure in your house or several enclosures that when your friends do come over, you can go, hey, as opposed to walking them into a room with 600 bins. And but the biggest thing about ball pythons was, for me, they want to kind of hide. And I understand a hide box would be good. So I thought, what if you had one where you had your enclosure and then you had a hole in the floor that went down to the basement? Mm-hmm. So it would be the height of a 70 tub, and that's where it could go. And if you needed to clean it, you just open up, the latch, slide the tub out, and you can clean it and kind of put it in upstairs so it couldn't get down anymore. And then you open that hole again just in case it does want to go down there for security. Have you ever thought of doing something like that?
I've absolutely had the conversations this week with a customer that is interested in having one where they can visually see when the animal's nesting in a box like that. And actually, yes, so this is an idea I've been thinking about for a long time. We haven't implemented that fully because we're still kind of launching or new with that. But yeah, custom orders are definitely like that. But now, as far as like a kit for that set up yet, not right now, not right offhand. But as far as being able to build something like that, it's very doable.
Yeah, because all it really would be is a hole in the floor that it could go down, have access to the basement apartment.
Yeah.
And and when you wanted a display, if you've got friends coming over, you want to show off your snakes, you just close that opening so it has to hang out up top.
That's what we have to do with my carpets when we take them to shows. We have to turn their hides around backwards so they can't go hide, and then they're out there on the perches, and man, it just kind of steals the show for everybody to see them that way.
Okay, so Billy, how many species do you have
of snakes or other animals?
Snakes. Let's just stick with reptiles.
If we're dealing with like me and my daughter, so we have boas, we have ball pythons, mostly ball pythons is the business. Then we have boas, we have our green trees, we have hognose, we have some other colubrids like milk snakes, and we have a lot of snakes. So that's pretty much it. Carpets and green trees. Yeah, I think I've named them all. We have the little South American hognose as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have hognose up here in Canada. What eastern hognose?
Yeah, that's what we have here in Georgia.
Really, easterns?
Yes, but you couldn't own them, or you can't own anything from Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, you can't own them up here either. But I've never seen one, but I know they're around. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So you're going to be doing a show soon.
Us would be Tinley.
Tinley's the show you're going to be doing. I read somewhere that Rose, you were going to be having a display at another show, not Tinley. Is that true?
I don't know, I guess.
Okay.
I think Tinley is the next one we're going to.
Okay. Well, perfect. That's a pretty good show.
Right?
It's
that's all right.
There. Yeah.
That's fun.
And now let's talk about shows a little bit. How have you found the shows? Do you find that more people are coming, more people are interested? And who are these people? Where do you see the growth coming in this industry? Because, here you are, you have a business, you've decided to start this business together. And I have no doubt that you'll be successful. If you got Billy there, he seems to be quite the winner. He wants to win, right?
I appreciate that.
And with your entrepreneurial background, Rose, it's a winning combination. So, who do you see as your ultimate customer?
So I would say more like the reptile collectors, I guess. Like at shows, I've noticed it's been a lot of like a huge shift of lots of like families and new people that have like never been to a reptile show and are just kind of like more like the kids are interested and the parents just take them there to, let them check out and like ask tons of questions. And so it's really like a cool opportunity to kind of like teach the next generation all about reptiles. And it's cool to see the kids like aren't afraid of them. And the parents are like cool with them, asking questions and letting them, they're supportive of their interest. So I would say like more pet keepers, not so much breeders, just because, you couldn't have 600 enclosures in your house. So
what about
just want to display
I think one key
celebrities and stuff like that? Do you ever encounter celebrities that want to keep these animals?
I haven't personally. No.
Okay. And the So if you had to plant a seed in someone that they would become, a potentially great customer now and down the road, keep going, have their interest grow, what animal would you recommend for them? You've got a family, they showed up, they got 2 kids there. The kids are keen on reptiles, but they don't know that much. What would you advise?
I kind of always recommend for like younger kids, like leopard geckos. I feel
Okay.
like those are like a really great, like entry level for, a small kid. They're like not super scary. They always like look like they're happy. They're not super bitey. They're pretty, easy to handle and everything like that. So that's kind of always like when it's like younger parents or like with younger kids and they're asking me tons of questions, even though like I don't sell leopard geckos or anything. I'm there with ball pythons, but I'm like, oh, I would definitely get your kid a leopard gecko because that's just a great, starter pet, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they don't even look real. They look
Right?
like they're made from
They're
rubber.
so cute. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty cool. Now, speaking of made from rubber, there's a lot of ball pythons these days that you can't even comprehend. I mean, had somebody said this is what they're going to look like, 25 years, from now, I wouldn't have believed them. So where do you see you both breed ball pythons? Where do you see the industry going in ball pythons? I mean, have we gotten as good as we've gotten as far as what these morphs look like, or are we the best is yet to come?
I hands down believe I know the best is still yet to come. I mean, we see it in our projects every single day. All of this stuff is getting way better. The browning out ball python one day will be almost a thing of the past. It's going to be amazing 10 years from now, just like you're saying 20 years ago and 10 years ago, what it was then. Look at what it is now. And then the vision of all these great breeders, this is going to be mind blowing in another 10 years.
Okay, so if for it to be mind blowing, pick 5 genes that are an absolute must have in a collection that you think will influence us in the future.
Lace, hurricane, clown, hypo. How many is that? 4?
4.
All right. Desert ghost will still be, but it is restrictive.
Why is it restrictive?
Just pattern restrictive. I like not restricting pattern too much. Love desert ghost. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to do a ton of desert ghost stuff, but
Yeah.
it is just say a Pompeii. Look at the desert ghost Pompeii, and then look at a Pompeii. Add fire or lace to a Pompeii, and look at what you get versus what you get with a desert ghost Pompeii. You just constricted a lot of pattern, which isn't bad. You just got to find ways to open that avenue up and expand that pattern in the desert ghost animals.
So do you think a desert ghost is a pattern mutation as well?
Yes, because it constricts pattern. It absolutely is. It's a mostly enhancing gene, but it also constricts pattern. So anything that reduces pattern is no different than, say, inchy or anything else that reduces pattern.
I gotcha. And what about you, Rose? Five of the
Well, that's tough. I don't dabble a ton in the genes, but I would say probably axanthic. I love like the black and white. I think it's huge. Orange dream and like the super orange dream, like because people still are just that's a beautiful color combination. Monsoon. I think there's like lots of opportunity still in the monsoon area. And desert ghost. Was that 4, 5? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Right.
You can throw one more out there.
This is not like an amazing gene or anything, but I'm like a huge fan of leopard. Like that's my favorite. Like if you know me, like I'm always dressed in leopard print. So it's just natural for me to be like just drawn to like the leopard pattern. I think that's always.
Do you have a cat?
My daughter does. I don't know.
We had Bengals.
I'm a dog. If I had a cat, that would totally be what I would have.
Yeah, we had quite a few Bengals over the years.
So cool.
And they're little leopards. I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah, that would be
You know,
my wish list for sure.
but we just recently decided. Well, we lost our cat. That was 19 years. And it was pretty traumatic because, cats bring something different than dogs do or whatever. So we're going for a Siberian forest cat. Have you seen those?
I have not. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, look it up. They're pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's interesting that you said hypo, Billy, because I'm a huge fan of hypo. I've always had hypo in my collection. And when I first got into this in, 25 years ago, I was talking to a friend, Doug Beard. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but him and Janie Malson used to have some pretty good snakes. And he said, don't overlook hypo. And hypo back then, you could buy a hypo for, $600 for a hypo. But do you think hypo has made a huge comeback?
Yeah, I think it's going to go even further too. As we get some of these genes we have now into hypo, I think it'll continue to grow over the next coming years. I think it's definitely a gene that's on the upward trend.
So if you had to make one ultimate snake this year, what would that have been?
Wow. Well, so we have the shot at making a hypo desert ghost exanthic clown. So I want to see that. So
Yeah.
that's what I can make this year. Now, building one, man, I could build a bunch of different projects. So I'm not sure if we're just going to do like build a bear and I could build any project that I want. Man,
Yeah.
it would be some wild hypo lace super hurricane clown combo.
Right. So, I mean, clown has been around since the beginning, really. I mean,
It's our staple biggest recessive morph.
no kidding. Now, what about piebald?
It can make a comeback, especially with some of the newer genes like the scrambler stuff. That stuff can push pied back. I've seen some of that lately. That's been very cool. Love lacing pieds. We're making very cool stuff with that. Think that will really help pied make a comeback, especially when you go clown pied, because we just haven't got into those triple recessive like desert ghost or hypo clown pied projects with high pattern yet. So once we get the high pattern animals out there, enough of them, there's going to be enough pattern, cool combinations with those cool heads that it's going to drive that again. Because we made the super leopard desert ghost clown pied this year, and it was absolutely amazing. Did not take pattern away. It had a lot of pattern to it, and it was just absolutely amazing animal. And
Yeah, I think
really
leopard is amazing.
yeah, I think adding clown to that really diversifies it a lot because of the head stamp. So now we can make cool head stamps in pod projects. So that will help. I love like the puzzle and cryptic heads on the pod projects. I think that's just a beautiful head stamp. The puzzle and stuff enhances colors. You don't see that, so it doesn't bring much value to the animal for a lot of people. But I think lace and hypo and things like that, adding a lot of pattern to it will really bring it back, because ours as adults, like we've got fire inchy yellow belly lace pods, they still look like they did when they were born, just really bright and beautiful. Actually a little better because lace doesn't really kick in until they're like 300 grams.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I was feeding today, and I do all my own feeding, and I get to look at every animal when I feed it, and I've got two lace pieds, and they are my favorite, two gene pieds, hands down. And I'm going to be breeding them this year, even though it's only two genes. But, the lace really, really does something. Now, do you think that what I've noticed is you'll see an animal come in vogue, and then people will jump off it almost as quick as they jumped on it. And then you get that dedicated base that keep going with the animals. And all of a sudden something pops out and they go, oh, geez, I jumped off way too quick. Are there what are some examples of those animals that you can think of?
Leopard pieds. So take that same a leopard pied that goes really low white, and then put it in a clown pied and make the super form like we did, and go super leopard, and your desert goes clown pied, and it's high pattern, and those black beautiful striping from the leopard, so bold from it being super leopard. That's a great view right there, where people stop with leopard early on, and once you go triple recessive and you add it in there, it turned out amazing. It doesn't mean every one of them's going to be like that. That's just our first one. But I've seen a lot of people add leopard and super leopard into pied projects as it's gotten farther along, deeper into codoms or recessives, and it just really throw amazing stuff. And there's a lot of projects like that. I mean, you literally can go across the board of a lot of projects that have reduced pattern, or just people have lost interest in, and they get real far behind, and then the animal's made that turns the industry on its head, and then everybody's got to catch up, and then they're chasing.
So how did you get into breeding reptiles?
Oh,
Billy?
so mine was a trip to Orlando with my daughter. So we went to the Orlando Repticon during December, and it was the total wrong time to go. It was either December or January. So it's winter. We were going for blue tongue skinks. Did not think my wife would ever let us have a snake. So Channy's 3 years old. She's 15 now. So it's 12 years. And so we go down there. Her and I drive all the way to Orlando from here. It's like 5 hours, I think. So we drive down there, like leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and drive all the way down there to the show. They do not have but one adult blue tongue skink, but I can't remember her name. The lady that owns Family Reptiles out of Florida. They have pet shops and everything too. She had like a ball python wrapped around her waist, and Channy went over and was interested, and she wrapped the thing around her waist, and she's a girly girl. So she's wearing a designer ball python belt at that time, being it's around her waist. So we head down that road. Like, I called my wife and I'm like, there's nothing else here. She said, well, we can try a couple of them and just see what it's like. Cause I was like, Channy's wanting 3 of them here. And I said, I'm liking it. I'm wanting some myself. So we end up going home, and 3 snakes are now 700 and something.
So those 3 snakes, you brought them home with you that day?
Yes, we did.
And you didn't have enclosures. Hey, if there was a company that made enclosures back then,
exactly,
right? Plug and play. Plug and play. There you go. Are you doing anything with other breeders as far as having them endorse your product or promote your product?
We're doing like wholesale packages, so breeders can get custom made the starter pack enclosures, so that way they can sell them right along. Like when they sell a ball python at a show, they can sell an enclosure that's like customized with their logo on it and everything right there.
Okay. And Rose, how did you get into ball pythons?
Probably 10 years ago, my kids wanted a ball python, and we got them each one, and I was terrified of them. I was like, this is your deal. Like, my husband and them, and I was terrified. And then a few years ago, my husband decided he wanted to breed ball pythons. So he bought, I think, 40 of them from Joe and Sheena at JSA, because we lived close to them and we're friends. Actually, our first ball python came from Joe and Sheena. And then fast forward, we bought our big breeding stock starters, all from them guys. And I'll never forget, I was in their shop, and they're loading up all these snakes, and I'm standing there I'm not touching these things, keep them away from me. And then over the years now, I handle all of them, and take pictures of the babies, and do all that stuff and help out. But yeah, initially I was terrified.
It's amazing how there's a lot of misconception, about they think they're slimy. They think they
right.
A lot of people think they're venomous,
right,
and they're not. So, do you find you're educating a lot?
A lot of people think they're poisonous as well.
Well, that's yeah,
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 venomous and poisonous.
yeah, yeah. What's the difference?
You ingest poison, you've got to eat it.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, have you ever eaten a snake?
My daughter did.
Yeah.
She was tricked.
Where?
She was tricked by some of our family. So we have some family here in this redneck country we live in the South here that Rose is now part of, and they cooked rattlesnake one time. And
Okay.
why they got that in their mind to do so, I have no idea. They told the kids, including their kids, that the rattlesnake was chicken. So
Okay.
they fried chicken for the kids, and everybody ate fried
Rattlesnake.
rattlesnake. I
Okay.
did
Well,
not. I was not there, and I'm glad I'm not.
yeah. Yeah. I ate snake in Cambodia, and
What kind
we
was
went.
yours?
It was a water snake. And I mean, you could tell it was a snake that it was all coiled up, and they had it on the barbecue, flipping it over.
Oh,
And I thought, well, throw in a beer, I'm good. You know, beer and snake. Only tried it once, and survived to tell the story. So, Billy, you're involved in another business venture
Mhm.
with a breeder. What's his name? Justin Kabilka, from Canova. You know, arguably the biggest name in the industry, I would say, and the most successful. And how did that all come about?
Man, it just so my research led me to Justin, and I just basically, when we decided that we were going hardcore, wanted to actually start a business. I don't do anything in half measures, so I did a lot of
Okay.
research, and of course, I was seeing a lot of Brian Barczyk stuff, and it was back when he had snake bites, and even way before that,
Uh-huh.
just when he was putting a lot of stuff online, and so I finally find, I'm looking at snakes online, seeing kind of prices of things, stuff like that, and what they're selling for. And so I'm putting a business plan together, and because we've already learned and we've already bred, and we've kind of got a path where we know we're not going to harm the animals, and now we're looking for the avenue of making it a real business. And I come across Justin's website and everything, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. I look it up, and he's in the same state. So
Wow.
that's the only thing that got Justin and I together, probably, is the fact that he was in the same state, or in the at least in the southeast of the United States, or I probably would have never got in touch with him other than ordering animals from him, because I would have done that for sure. But because he was so close, we just become friends, and where our friendship spanned a lot of years of us buying animals. I mean, we had over 100 and something of his animals before he and I ever even talked about working together. And because we're in
Okay.
so many of the same projects, we just, one day he was getting on a flight. We were talking on the phone. He's like, I need some more of these animals. And I'm like, well, I'm making them. And he said, well, let's work together. And I'm like, yep.
Wow.
So we just, a good friendship become a partnership.
Well, that's great. Yeah, Justin is. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. And but you seem to be doing very well. You have a great display at the shows now. Rose, do you sell snakes at shows as well?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And how many expos would you do a year?
Um, last year I think we did 8 or 9. We traveled a
Okay.
lot last year, so yeah, we did quite a few.
Now, was that out of Minnesota
Yes.
area? Do you know Mark Bailey from up that way? Or is he in
No,
Wisconsin? I think he's
the
in Wisconsin.
name's really familiar, but no.
Okay. Yeah. Mark Bailey Reptiles. So what's you're going to do Tinley?
Mm-hmm.
So is it going to be Rice Reptiles and the ClearVUE all in one booth, or how are you going to present?
We'll be in our booth, but we'll have ClearVUE Habitats behind there. Of course, we won't really have but a certain amount for sale unless we have some where they can order them in there and get them in the parking lot, maybe. But we'll have enough on display behind our booth. But our reptiles will be the main thing we're displaying there, just because of room. It's not really enough room there for us to take a ton of enclosures.
Okay, well, so this will be at Tinley in October, which is the biggest Tinley show. Is it NRBC show?
Mm-hmm.
NARBC, yeah.
So people will hopefully they come out and check you out, see the enclosure, see your beautiful animals. And thanks for joining us on the Epic Conference. It's been a real pleasure talking to you guys, and I wish you a lot of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.